Good afternoon. My name is Jesse Vasquez, former editor-in-chief of San Quentin News and now development director for the Friends of San Quentin News. And I'd like to welcome you to today's event in support of San Quentin News, the award-winning newspaper produced inside of San Quentin State Prison. It's the only inmate-run newspaper that has a broad reach outside of the walls of the prison. And we hope that with your kind donations and generosity to continue to expand that for years to come, for other generations to know that there are options available to them, and so that we can further our message of rehabilitation, social justice, and public safety. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Jesse, and welcome to the Friends of San Quentin News live virtual event. Thank you so much for being here and being a part of so much exciting news that we're going to be giving you over this next about hour. My name's Corey Michaels, and I am honored to be your host this year. Now, last year, because of, well, what our world was going through, the fundraising gala for the Friends of San Quentin News was not able to happen. This year, we persevered and we have gone through and created this virtual event for you. And even though we're not in the same room, even though we're not in the same place, being able to shake hands and to see each other and talk, really we have an even farther reach, because anyone, anywhere that cares about great journalism, award-winning news, and giving hope, and that's what this is all about, is able to be a part of the event tonight. Now, if you haven't gotten already registered for the online auction, and there are so many wonderful items for you to be able to bid on, you can just text SQN to 888-403-4599, and you'll get a link right back that will take you right to the registration page for the online auction. And then you can start checking out all the great experiences, the memorabilia, and the things that you can be able to do to help support the San Quentin News. Currently about 30,000 in the circulation. We want to get that up to 150,000. Well, that takes all of us together. This is something that benefits not just the journalists and the photographers and the graphic artists and all the people on the staff of the San Quentin News, and not just the newspaper. You know, of course, this is how it all started with the newspaper. But now the quarterly magazine that comes out, the social media, everything that happens, it is a full news organization now with the San Quentin News. It means so much to these individuals, but to our community at large. And that's why it is so important for you to be able to give and be a part of what's going on tonight. So once again, you can just text SQN to 888-403-4599 and get that link back so that you can start checking out all the items on the online auction. We're going to be starting to talk about some of those coming up in just a few minutes. Now, a couple of features right now for the online auction. You know how if you've been to a live event before and they have the online, they have the silent auction going on, and you're busy talking with folks and getting to see friends maybe you only see once a year at that event. And you're going over and, oh yeah, I really want this item. I want to support this cause. And you put down your bid and you walk away. Well, someone sneaks up right behind you and they outbid you. Well, you don't even know if you don't go back to check it out. Well, with this, you don't have to worry about it. You are going to need two different screens, though, going on right now. So we'll talk about that here in just a second. But as you are going through the online auction items, you find the items you want. You go ahead and bid on that. If someone outbids you, you're going to get a notification about that. Or the way I love to do it is with the auto bid feature, because you can say, you know what, this sweatshirt, these A's tickets, whatever it happens to be, whatever online auction item you're wanting, you can put, you know what, I'm willing to go to X amount of dollars on that. And then put in your minimum bid that you want to start with. And then every time someone outbids you, you don't have to do anything. It just, in a small amount, outbids them, and without you having to do a thing but enjoy the next hour of being able to hear some incredible stories of hope. The online auction is going to go all the way until 12 o'clock Pacific time on August 31st. And we'll tell you another way that this is going to get even more exciting at the end of the online auction, coming up a little bit later on in the program. Now, when I mentioned you're going to need 2 different screens, well, in order to be able to fully enjoy this. So if you're watching on your computer right now, or maybe you've got it linked to your TV through your laptop, whatever that case may be, then you can have the online auction on your mobile device. And so you've got that going right there. You can also do it with 2 different tabs, but we don't want you to miss anything. So there's the most efficient way for you to be able to experience and enjoy tonight with the San Quentin News virtual event. So all of the friends, that means all of us together that are a part of this. I hope you're sharing this with your friends and getting this out to be able to break down the stereotypes about the incarcerated, to be able to continue the hope for each and every individual, to get this quality, award-winning journalism out to not just San Quentin, but throughout the state of California as well. And together, we can be able to do that. But you know, we can't really start without going back to the start. And this video right now is a great way, in a short amount of time, to be able to tell you a little bit of the history of San Quentin News.
San Quentin is California's oldest prison. It has a brutal past. Today, however, it's a beacon for rehabilitation. Inside the prison's media center is where information is produced about incarceration, rehabilitation, and successful re-entry to society. San Quentin News was first established as a print publication in 1940 by Warden Clinton Duffy. Over the decades, the newspaper shut down several times. In 2008, San Quentin News was revived by former warden Robert Ayers Jr. Today, San Quentin News is a 21st century multimedia operation with its newspaper, magazine, website, newsletter, social media campaign, and upcoming video productions. The state of California does not fund the newspaper, so the men and volunteers who work for San Quentin News must raise money to fund the operation. That's why we're here today. So here's why we need your support.
If it's not obvious, San Quentin News means a lot to the men who work for the paper. The work we do exposes us to information that gives us a broader perspective on the criminal justice system. We're learning critical thinking.
We learn how to write effectively and what it means to be an effective and fair journalist. And our bylines give us a sense of purpose.
None of what we do happens in a vacuum. We receive guidance from our advisors and other volunteers that come inside the prison. One of those volunteers is a UC Berkeley journalism professor, and he brings along his students.
In turn, we're allowed to disseminate the information we gather for the benefit of others who are in similar situations, just like we are.
More importantly, this means many of the 120,000 men and women incarcerated in California's state prison system and beyond are allowed to receive information on how to change their lives for the better. Our stories about rehabilitation give them hope that they too can grow as individuals.
Stories about restorative justice are one example we write about to advance social justice.
We provide incarcerated readers with role models to follow, and we raise their expectation to be successful upon their release because we write about programs that have recidivism rates lower than the state average of 46%.
When somebody's released back in the community, a lower crime rate and recidivism rate not only saves taxpayers money, it increases public safety.
Since 2008, when San Quentin News was restarted, its 15 alumni who've paroled have maintained a 0% recidivism rate, saving taxpayers more than $1 million a year.
And these stories motivate the incarcerated to leave their cells and participate in positive programs. The San Quentin News also gives outside readers and subscribers a more realistic view of what prison is like.
The newspaper shows them the good that's taking place inside the prison.
The state of California does not provide funding for the newspaper. Because of this, we are dependent on the generosity of individuals and foundations to fund our printing, distribution, and website each month.
And even though the paper reaches every California prison, it does not make its way into the hands of all who are incarcerated. The circulation is 30,000, but there are 120,000 incarcerated persons in the state of California.
Tonight, with your generosity, we can increase our circulation above 30,000, which will give hope to the incarcerated and get them involved in programs that will help them develop as individuals and have a better chance at successful transition from prison and being productive members of society.
Again, thank you for coming to this event and for your support. We encourage you to stay in touch through our website, sanquentinnews.com, and by making a donation to receive the newspaper.
Through our newsletter, Inside San Quentin News, we'll keep in touch to let you know the impact that your generosity is having on the incarcerated population of California. We're grateful that you have become a part of the San Quentin News family. Please enjoy the rest of your evening.
And just like you said, we're all part of this together, helping to support the hope that is being provided through, you think about it as a newspaper or magazine, websites and social media, the newsletter. But when you think about it further than that, and as you just heard from the journalists and the staff of the San Quentin News, it's more than just that. It is giving hope. It's giving inspiration. It's making the other inmates there at San Quentin, but all of the prisons, all of the incarcerated throughout the state of California, realize that there is another way, that there is hope. Now, whether that's journalism or something else, inspiring them to want to be a part of a program that then gives them a purpose from there. So there is so much that you're providing with each and every donation going on right now. And, hang on. This is amazing. Okay, we got some work to do, folks. We just got this, a $25,000 match with the Reva and David Logan Foundation. That is amazing, but there is a catch. Here's where our sweat equity and where your wallet and purse comes into play, because we're not going to be qualified for the $25,000 without raising $25,000. So that means every single dollar that you give right now, that you donate, that you bid on the different online auction items is going to be doubled. So if you are donating $200, it becomes $4 becomes $8 becomes $1,600. You can do the math from there. But once we reach the $25,000 mark, that is going to become automatically $50,000. And it doesn't stop there. The Reva and David Logan Foundation will then, after the $25,000, continue to match every single dollar up to $50,000. So on our part, if we can be able to raise $50,000 by noon Pacific time on the 31st, that is going to become $100,000. That's amazing. And we thank you so much to the Reva and David Logan Foundation for your generosity and your support of the San Quentin News and the Friends of the San Quentin News. Thank you. All right, let's get to work, everyone, and get those dollars in and make your money really work to be able to provide that hope. Some of the ways to do that, well, of course, bidding on the online auction items. I hope you've been already checking them out. But to give you a little taste of some of the things that are out there, item number 4. This is a restorative justice book collection. It's signed by the authors, each and every one of them: Just Mercy, Tattoos on the Heart, and Prison Truth, which actually they sent me, thank you so much, a copy of Prison Truth by William Drummond. He's a professor at Berkeley. I think one of the guys had just mentioned him a few minutes ago, that he comes down into the prison, advises the staff and the journalists and all the folks with the news organization there at San Quentin. Also brings his students as well, his journalism students. But this is a fascinating book. And just that video about the history of San Quentin News is wonderful. But reading this book, it really goes into depth from 1940 with that original warden that started it, and then all the way to where we are now. And we're going to be hearing from Professor Drummond coming up a little bit later on. But this one is signed not only by Professor Drummond, but also all the guys that are featured inside the book as well have signed it. And you can have all three of those right now at item number 4. Now, item number 8, this is a very special item as well. It is a wall calendar from 2020. This was signed by the entire news staff in February of 2020, right before the whole lockdown happened. And it changed, well, all of our worlds. It changed the way we do things. And you talk about the change in media and news. Well, that also affected then the San Quentin News. But these guys, they persevered and they still put out quality award-winning news. And we can be able to support that right now. And again, I can't say the word hope enough, because that's the biggest thing that you are providing right now. This wall calendar, it is framed, it's matted, would look beautiful in your office, in your home. And every time someone asks about it, you can be able to tell the story of the San Quentin News staff and the wonderful work that they do. So check that out at item number 8. And as we go through the program here, we're going to be hearing from a lot of the staff and former staff that were a part of making San Quentin News the award-winning news organization that it is now. Our next individual is a former editor and chief. He has since been released, and just such an inspiring story. Here's Miguel Quesada.
I would describe that there's 2 forms of education in prison. There's the ones that not in the class setting or school setting, and just kind of what you learn from your environment and other people, peers. You know, you learn what not to do, you know, from like negative examples, and you also learn kind of like, you know, what to do and what's possible from positive examples. I just say that because in like around 2008, 11, around that area. I eventually was at level 3. It was still a lot of the same politics and same negativity and violence as it was in level 4. But I remember meeting a few guys that were in the education department, and then there were tutors. You know, this is a place was like where racial division and gang division was like just very strong and deeply rooted. But you know, some of these individuals were white, black, Mexican. And they were in there tutoring and, you know, focusing on GED and like the high school program. So they invited me to go in and help tutor. But then I didn't have my GED. I didn't have my high school diploma. And so the teacher was like, well, you need your high school diploma. So that's what got me started with that process. I was like, all right, let's get something to do. And when I ended up doing my high school diploma, I remember I had like 20 units, and I had dropped out of high school. You know, I never went to high school, so I didn't really have a background in like, you know, education in that sense. So I had to start from the bottom. But yeah, I mean, the teacher encouraged me, and then a lot of the guys were like, you know, if you get, you know, your high school diploma, they got a college program, you could do a college program, which was not something I had in mind. I was like, I'm gonna get my high school diploma, and that's it, so I could get a job in the education. And so that was kind of like my start. I mean, once I was like in, you know, working in the education as a tutor and just around these individuals that were like, you know, thinking outside the completely radically thinking outside the box of the prison yard, and some of these guys were like, I'm writing books, you know, and you know, not for the intention that one day they're gonna be published or nothing, but it's just that spark and like that we could do something beyond where we're at in our circumstances with what we know and what we learn. So I think that was the hope part about it, because I got introduced to people who were like, hey, I'm doing legal work, I'm gonna get out of prison. And so like I never thought about my freedom in that context. You know, it was always just like, well, I'm gonna die in prison. There's nothing I could do. So I think that was an important part like kind of developing some hope. I don't think I lost hope. I think it's always there. Like that inspiration is there, but like there's definitely a moment there that it kind of grounded that and gave it some direction. And I was like, damn, I could do something, differently to kind of change the outcome of my situation, whether I go home or not. So I think that was pivotal moment in my time in prison. When I transferred to San Quentin, I think the first day I was there, I asked around, and I had transferred there with one of my friends, and so he was just like, yeah, I know people there, like, and they know who's who, and so I was like, all right, and he's like, yeah, go to the yard, like, just ask folks, like, what programs are at. You'll see people with books and stuff, and people going to programs. So I asked like some random guy, and I was like, hey, how do I get involved in programs? Like, who do I talk to? And then he pointed out Arnulfo Garcia, which was sitting in the dugout at the baseball field. So I went up to him and I was like, what, hey, they told me to talk to you. And he's the one that was like, he asked me a million questions, about what do I have a GED, what do I want to do, like how much time am I doing? But he told me, he goes, hey, well, if you're interested, on Fridays we have a journalism guild, and he pointed at the where the San Quentin News office was at the time, and he was just show up there on Friday, and that was it. And I showed up on Friday and started taking part in the journalism guild and got involved at that point with that. I think if one takeaway is I think the investment, right, and from the community being very important, that connection, and I mean that in a professional sense, because like we were aspiring to be journalists, we were aspiring to put out a professional newspaper, respectable newspaper. And it was key to have those connections with other professionals outside that respected you as a journalist and nothing else, not based on where you were at. So I think that professional connection with other journalists was key to what we were trying to accomplish. I mean, my personal highlight is, being able to be free, do positive things. But then definitely my son, I have a young son, he's going to be 3 in December, going 2.5. So that's definitely, kind of like outside of whatever work and things that we do in life, like that's the priority, and that's definitely the most beautiful part of being able to be home and being part of his life.
Thank you so much to Miguel for sharing his story. And there you see, right there, when we talk about hope and the hope you're providing, that's a perfect story about it right there. Talking about Miguel never being in high school to then being editor-in-chief and now being out with his son and his family, and the hope that it gave him to be able to inspire him to want to not only be better, but to continue to be able to serve and to make sure that his community is a better place. And that's what this is all about. Yes, it's about this staff. It's about these journalists and web designers and photographers and everyone that makes the San Quentin News the award-winning news service that it is, but also to be able to serve our community and make our community better. So each dollar you give not only is being doubled right now with the Reva and David Logan Foundation, as long as we hit that $25,000 mark at least. I'm hoping we can be able to hit the $50,000 and then get the full matching dollars from the foundation. So I know we can do that together. But that's what you are giving, to be able to expand this from the 30,000 circulation that it is right now to at least the 120,000 that is the full as far as incarcerated individuals throughout the state. So some of those ways to do it, again, with the online auction, I told you there's a lot of great stuff on here. Item number 2 This is a Take Me Out to the Ball game at the Oakland A's. You're going to get $175 of gift cards for the Oakland A's, along with a cozy fleece, A's blanket, and this is a one-of-a-kind Oakland A's t-shirt that is signed by all the members of the San Quentin A's. So really a one-of-a-kind item that you can be able to display and share with your friends and share the story of the Friends of the San Quentin News. Now, item number 9, if keeping with the sports theme here, we're talking about the Warriors and a Draymond Green jersey. Every year, the San Quentin News covers the basketball game between the Golden State Warriors head office staff and the San Quentin Warriors. Although the Golden State Warriors players do not play, many of them come along to root on both teams, mingle with the men in blue. Draymond Green is one of those players who likes to join in on the fun. In honor of his dedication to those at the San Quentin, you'll receive 4 tickets to a Warriors game of your choice in the 21-22 season, based on availability, and a Draymond Green jersey that is signed by the San Quentin Warriors as well. So all of that in item number 9. You can check that out right now. Now, as we talked about earlier, even though we're not in the same room, we still all are here together in the same support, wanting to make sure that we're able to keep the quality award-winning news going with the San Quentin News and keeping that hope alive as well, and to continue to grow that hope. So we want to hear from you. If you're watching on Facebook right now or YouTube, in the comments, tell us where you're watching from. Maybe the online auction items that you really have your heart set on. Are you watching at home? Or are you watching with family? Go ahead and just anything. Go ahead and put that out there. We'd love to hear from you and really make this one big celebration together. As our next video, this is a former photographer on the staff of the San Quentin News, telling his story of hope and how it made such a difference in his life and lives of other incarcerated throughout San Quentin and throughout the state of California. Here's Eddie Herrera.
Hello, my name is Eddie Herrera. 38 years old. Was born and raised in the Bay Area, San Jose. Come from a large family. And yeah, it's good to be out. Been out of prison 2 years. I got my start with the San Quentin News, well, of course at San Quentin, but one of my friends had approached me on the yard and said, hey, there's an opening for a photographer in the newsroom, like you should go apply. So I applied. I went through the 30-day trial run along with a few other guys, and I ended up getting the job in the end. Some of my greatest highlights in regards to like the newsroom, was just hanging with the fellas. We had so many laughs. It just helped my time in prison like go smoothly. Gave me a place to go actually. So yeah, it was great. It was great. Working for the newspaper, you know, I learned about photography. I came out and I started making money off of it. I mean, so yeah, that was huge for me, you know, getting out with really nothing, starting all over, but with this like skill that I developed while in prison, working for the paper is really cool. Pictures been a part of our society for forever, and just to be able to continue telling stories through photography is great. It's something that I like doing and enjoy doing. I think the San Quentin News inspires the prison population, for one, you know, with all the positive stories that we cover and report and publish. I also think it gives guys information, you know, necessary information of like what laws are going on, things that are relevant to them in their situation. The paper is the alternative to popular opinion about prison and prisoners. You know, I believe society gets their information from TV and movies, you know, And of course, it's always painted in a negative light. And I think the San Quentin News tells a different story. And not to say that violent things don't happen in prison, but a lot of good happens too. And the San Quentin News exposes that goodness for sure. The San Quentin News is unique. It's prison journalism. It's prisoners telling their stories versus someone else telling their stories. The stories that come from us are primary sources. We are the source. No one can tell these stories better than us. They need us to tell these stories. I think it gives prisoners hope. One thing that a lot of men, when I entered the system, they didn't have hope. They had life sentences and they never thought they were going home. So I think when it comes to that, I believe the San Quentin News changes that. It plants that seed of hope in those hearts. Because there are stories about guys just like them that are going home. So in the rehabilitation sense, I think it gives guys hope, and it moves them to actually do something about their time. They actually could make it out of this place.
See, I told you that's the biggest thing you're providing right now, just as he talked about hope. That hope that when you go into a situation like this, and whether or not you've ever been there, and I can't personally say myself, but I know I've been in some pretty dark times where hope seems non-existent. With this, giving that hope back to these individuals, letting them see that there is another way. There is a light on the other side. That improves their lives. It improves our community. And that's what the San Quentin News is all about. Now, I asked you to please go ahead and step up and make your comments. And so we knew who all was a part of the party tonight. And you guys did exactly that. Lakeisha, thank you so much for being a part of it. Bonnaroo, who we're going to be hearing from here in just a moment. Thanks, Bonnaroo. Amanda in Marin County. Also, Lisa, Alina in San Francisco. Thank you so much. Jan, Kathleen, Colleen with Project Avery, which is another wonderful, wonderful nonprofit. Thank you so much for being a part of the event tonight. Also, Kevin, Patricia, Jesse, Tommy, John, Monica, Zach, and Amy. Also, Yukari from Missouri. Well, thanks for watching all the way from Missouri. Dan is watching as well. And Pat and Peter say they're giving everyone a virtual high five. So right back at you guys. Thanks for being a part of the event tonight. All right, let's go ahead and check out the leaderboard as we're trying to get to that 25,000 mark. Well, we're getting up there. Right now, $8,545, which is wonderful. We need to hit that $25,000 mark before the 31st at noon in order to be able to unlock that complete donation with the Reva and David Logan Foundation. Let's see where some of the others on the leaderboard, how we're doing on some of the auction items. Let's see here. Victoria right now has the Elements Massage at $235. Sushi Ran gift certificate and movie tickets. Douglas, thank you so much, at $130. Also, Diego with the Chez Panisse. I'm saying this probably horribly wrong, gift certificate. Thank you so much for your high bid right now. John with the San Francisco VIP package at $325. And just a donation from Peter of $50 to the Friends of San Quentin News. Peter, thank you so much. And you can do that as well at item number 100. There's a horseback ride for 4. Diego, stepping up again, $150 right there for that one is the high bid. And Jared, he has the high bid on the Take Me Out to the Ball game with the Oakland A's at $300. So go ahead and get your bids in. And remember, you can be able to set that up on the auto bid. So even when you're sleeping, it will bid for you until it hits your high dollar amount. And then you'll get a notification saying someone outbid your high amount. You can be able to go back on in the morning or whenever it's convenient and then be able to raise that if you would like, whatever you would like to do. We try and make this as easy as possible for you to be able to give and to be able to support the Friends of the San Quentin News. So thank you so much for all of your support. And as we've heard from several former staff members, editors-in-chief, photographers, and staff of the San Quentin News and the full news organization that they have built it to be, this next interview is really, again, a quintessential reason to give to the San Quentin News. His story is beautiful, going all the way from just coming in and working in distribution all the way to being editor-in-chief. He was released about a year ago now. His name is Richard Richardson, but everyone knows him as Bonnaroo.
My name is Richard Richardson, and people call me Bonnaroo. I got involved with the San Quentin News through John Wickerson, who was a vocational print shop instructor. So I basically wanted to become a printer. Earned my vocational trade while I was incarcerated. But eventually that led to me printing San Quentin newspapers. And from me printing San Quentin newspapers, I eventually transitioned to becoming a traffic manager for the San Quentin News. And then I worked my way up from traffic manager to staff writer to the graphic designer to the design editor to the managing editor to the editor-in-chief. And I eventually became the executive editor, which is a title that Arnulfo Garcia came up with. I worked for the San Quentin News since 2008. Since 2008 till 2021. It's a pretty long time. I stuck around San Quentin News team because it was inspirational to me. You know, the individuals that I met working for the San Quentin News inspired me to become something better than the criminal behavior and the crime I committed in prison. San Quentin News helped me with changing my worldview by opening up a lens to my immediate surroundings. San Quentin News shined a light on more than just my issues and my problems, as well as just the certain problems that I had to deal with in my community. It shined a light on issues that almost every prisoner or every people or all the people that I can possibly think of, the issues that they had to deal with and they had to struggle with, and it put me in a place where I had to look at it from their perspective. I like to say that San Quentin News helped other incarcerated individuals by giving them the opportunity to read information that we produce, which is geared towards rehabilitation, to help them want to change their lives and transform into a better person. When they see people like me, who was an ex-gang member that was on some of those very violent prison yards, and some of these incarcerated individuals knew who I was on those prison yards, and to see that I can change my life, you know, in a positive manner, hopefully, you know, it gives them the courage and the opportunity to do the same. And that's what I hope San Quentin News does for those incarcerated individuals. San Quentin News helped me in my re-entry into society by, first and foremost, humbling myself. The growth and the change that I acquired while working through the newsroom, it allowed me to have patience with myself. You know, entering into a society that I know that is a fast-paced society, you know, and it gave me the temperament to allow me to stop and position myself in a fast-moving world to think about the decisions that I make before I make them. I would still support the San Quentin News because it's a tool that incarcerated individuals need to grow and to change their lives and to have the resources that they need to become a better person. in society when they grow up.
Thank you, Bonnaroo, for sharing your story. And thank you for watching as well. I know Bonnaroo is one of the many that are watching and a part of the event tonight for our Friends of San Quentin News virtual gala and fundraiser. Thank you for being a part of that. For all the people that have been putting shout outs, that have been, putting out messages and sharing where they are, and so that we really feel like we are all together, because we are. We're together, yes, virtually, but we are together none the same, with the same passion to be able to give that hope. The word that we're going to continue to say this entire time, because that's the biggest thing you can ever give another individual, is hope. As we go and check out the leaderboard and see how close we're getting to that $25,000 mark for the matching with the Reva and David Logan Foundation. All right, here we are. Well, we have reached 25% of our goal right now because in part of an anonymous donor that just donated $10,000 to the Friends of San Quentin News. That raised us to $18,625. We are less than $7,000, $6,375. You make sure my remedial math is still working for me. And that is going to hit the $25,000 mark, which makes us eligible to be able to get that $25,000. So with just that little bit more between now and noon on the 31st Pacific time, that is going to become $50,000, and they will continue to give all the way up to $50,000. So the more we can raise, the more they are going to match. But first and foremost is hitting that $25,000. And I know we are so close now that together we can absolutely do that. If you go to item number 100, no matter what online auction items you're bidding on, maybe you see things and you're still thinking about what you want to bid on. But you want to give, you want to support, you want to continue the quality, award-winning journalism that is San Quentin News. Go to item number 100 and you can just make a donation. Now, with this, it doesn't matter how much that amount happens to be. It doesn't have to be this huge amount of money. There is no donation that is too small. And, with all of these events that we do, live and virtual, there are always people that go, well, I want to give, but I only have this. I'm sorry. Don't ever apologize. Your ability to give what you can means more than anything. So there is no donation that is too small. Well, there's also no donation too large. But anything that you're able to give makes the difference, and it gets us closer and closer to that $25,000 match. So let's keep it going, and together, I know we can get there. So once again, item number 100. We're sitting at $30,000 right now for the in the circulation for the San Quentin News. We want to get this up to about $120,000. Can we go ahead and have that item number 100 one more time? The leaderboard there that we just had up. Yeah. Because I want to say thank you to Kay Peoples, who just gave $5. See, that's what I mean. Thank you so much, Kay. P. Sussman, $50. E. Mateus, $20. $200 from Diego, who I know has been very big on some of the online auction items as well and has some of the high bids on there. So Diego, thank you so much. A. De Leon is $50. Z. Whelan is $100. And it goes on and on. Thank you so much to each and every person. So remember, doesn't matter the amount. It matters where you're giving that from. And that gives the hope to each and every individual, not just on the staff of the San Quentin News Organization, but to all of the incarcerated throughout San Quentin and throughout the state of California. Hope that there is a different way, that what got them incarcerated does not have to mean that defines who they are forever. So together we're given that hope. And we had mentioned earlier the Prison Truth, which item number 4, this is part of that, that is a fabulous book, but you're going to get 3 fabulous books with item number 4. This one written by Professor William Drummond. It's also autographed by Professor Drummond, and all of the men that are featured in the book as well have autographed this. So really a beautiful, one-of-a-kind piece there. But Professor Drummond is also advisor for the San Quentin News, and he brings in his journalism students as well to help in that process for their education and to be able to share and collaborate with the staff at the San Quentin News. And here's Professor Drummond to talk a little bit more about that.
This is William Drummond, and I give you permission to use my video in this session for whatever purpose you see fit. Let me start at the beginning. I'm a professor of journalism at UC Berkeley, and I've been working there for more than 30 years. And I started as a volunteer at San Quentin News in 2012. And that happened after I had taught an introductory journalism course for the Prison University Project. And Juan Haynes and Arnulfo Garcia asked me if I wanted to stay on as an advisor, and I did so. And my experience over the ensuing years has been not just positive, it's been inspirational. And I can say that it's inspirational not just for me and the men who have worked at San Quentin News, but also for, I think, nearly 100 UC Berkeley students. When I was asked to join as an advisor, I thought that, well, I can have an impact as just one person, but I think I could multiply that impact if I went to the journalism school and offered the students a chance to come over and act as editors and gain the experience of working one-on-one with writers. I started out, and I think we had 5 students, and I wasn't sure whether this was going to actually make it or not, but it turned out to be a very, very successful class. And it was successful for reasons that I expected, and also for reasons that I never really expected. First of all, I think we managed to make the San Quentin News a whole lot stronger because the students were very eager to provide editorial assistance. They did a lot of research. But more than that, what grew out of it was friendship. Friendship between the students who come from, everywhere in California, but they're usually no idea at all about what prison is like or what incarcerated people are like. And a lot of these friendships have continued even after the students have graduated. And one of the strong points of this class is that a whole lot of the people that graduated and went off into their lives, they still want to come back. They still want to be involved because they're getting an awful lot out of it. As for me personally, as I said, I've been in journalism a long time, and I've said this many, many times. I cannot think of many stories that I did that actually made people better off. I can think of a whole lot of stories that I did that made people worse off. But the thing that inspired me, and I think it gave a big boost to my career, is that once I started working with the San Quentin News, every time I left the institution, I felt that I had made people better off. I had contributed in some kind of way to making those men in that newsroom better off, making the students better human beings, and making the readers of the final product better informed. So I think this is a worthy cause. It's something that really belongs on everybody's agenda. It's a cause that's whose time has come, and I really appeal to you to be generous in your support of San Quentin News. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Drummond, and for all that you do and your students do to be a part of this. And when we talk so much about giving hope, and you're hearing these stories of how you have renewed and given, sometimes for the first time, hope to an individual to want to change, to want to be better, to show them that there is a better way. To share a story to put that into perspective myself is my sister, who's 22 years older than me. She got incarcerated very young in drugs. And whether or not it was the drugs at the time, it was something related because of the drugs. And she was in and out of jail, out of prison, on and off for her entire life. And really until the end of that. And as much as my parents, when they were alive, tried to help, my mom tried to be able to, as she would get out, to move her somewhere new and to be around new people. But she never inside found that hope in herself. And so every time she would get out, she'd just gravitate to the same people. Now they may have, different names. They weren't the exact same people, but they were the exact same people. And she fell right back into that same way that put her right back to where she had already been time and time again. And that was her entire life. That is, and continues to be, one of the saddest things that I've ever known, is someone who was so immensely talented when she was young and got mixed into something and then never found that hope, something like the San Quentin News or one of the other programs that are provided through the prison system and through San Quentin and for the other incarcerated 120,000 around the state of California. She never found that. And she never found a life. She never had one. Whether it was inside or whether it was out, she never had that hope. We're able to end that to where the stories like my sister start getting smaller and smaller and less and less. So when we talk about hope, that's what we're talking about right there. And as I had mentioned earlier, with no donation being too small, I really meant that. And another perfect example of that is last year, before the live gala that was not able to happen, they had stressed how important it was that money was raised to be able to continue this circulation and continue the publications and all of the effort and work that is being done by this immensely talented staff. And so some of the inmates got together and said, okay, we're going to raise some money. Well, now mind you, they make about $30 a month or somewhere around there. They raised $130. Some of these guys giving what was half of their salary for the month. Think about that. Giving half of your salary for a month. I'm not asking you to do that, but I'm just saying, in perspective, they were giving up to half of their salary per month to be able to keep the San Quentin News alive. Now that $130, when that got out to then friends and family outside the walls, that grew to be $2,500 that came in. So see, one little bit of hope, one generous donation of 5, 10, 25, whatever it happens to be, see where that can grow and see the difference that can make. And as we get closer and closer to that $25,000 mark to unlock that $25,000 match from the Reva and David Loken Foundation, your dollars mean more and more than ever right now, because we are that close to hitting it, but we need you. And if it's $24,995, we're not going to qualify for that match. So keep those donations coming in. Horseback ride for 4 right now. AIM has the high bid at $175. Diego going strong for the horseback ride now for 4 at $200. That $10,000, that's still, I'm so blown away by that from an anonymous donor. Then AIM also has a donation of $50 just to the Friends of San Quentin News. So thank you again for keeping that alive. Sandy just gave $1,000.
Thank you.
That is wonderful. And Sandy, bless you. And I'm so glad she had the ability to be able to do that. But again, whether you have the ability to give $1,000, $10,000, or $10, every single dollar, because your donation of $10 and mine of $25 and Bonnaroo's of $25 and, whoever else, all of that together, that's what makes magic happen. And that's what is continuing the hope for this staff and these journalists that, it's not just writing stories. These are award-winning journalists that prior to this probably had no experience. And most of the guys you just heard from over this last hour so far, they didn't have any experience with journalism. Some of them never even went to high school. But now they came out with the ability to say, I am an award-winning photographer. I am an award-winning journalist. And the pride that gives and the hope that gives is the strongest thing that we can ever give another individual. Now, as we heard from Professor Drummond, as an advisor and a professor at Berkeley, he brings his students to be able to come in. And now I think it was important not just to hear from Professor Drummond, but to actually hear from some of the students and some of the advisors that have come in and been an intimate part of being able to work with the staff of the San Quentin News.
Hi, my name is Bo Kovitz. I am a documentary filmmaker and producer, and I first had the opportunity of volunteering at the San Quentin News when I was a student at UC Berkeley through Professor Drummond's class. And I have to say that through all of my years studying journalism, the greatest education I've received by far has been with the San Quentin News. I have learned so much from every single person in the organization. And I really have yet to work in an environment quite like this one, where every person is so passionate, so hardworking, and so committed to each other and to the core mission and values of the newsroom. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for continuing to support this organization. It really is the purest form of public service journalism out there. So thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Jan Perry, and I'm an advisor for the San Quentin News. I just wanted to say that the number one reason I support the San Quentin News is that it changes lives. Not just the lives of the men who write for it, but the lives of the men who read it. The guys who read it see that there's another way that they can live, they can turn things around. There are rehabilitative programs, and San Quentin has such an array of them. The paper gets the word out. And the second reason that I support San Quentin News is that I want to feel like I'm doing some good in the world. And when I support the paper, when I donate to it, I really feel like that's what I'm doing. So there it is. I've given you 2 reasons. Such a bargain. Thanks.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kate McQueen. I'm a writer and a lecturer in the writing program at University of California, Santa Cruz. Since 2017, I've also been an editorial advisor for San Quentin News, primarily in the service of their quarterly magazine, Wall City. I was inspired to volunteer for San Quentin News after being a dedicated reader, because it became clear to me that prison journalism occupies a small but extremely important part of the American media landscape. Journalists behind the walls bring outside readers stories and a perspective they just can't get from the mainstream press. They shine a light on otherwise untold stories. They bring nuance to issues we on the outside often see as black and white. And they remind us of our responsibility as co-citizens to pay attention to aspects of our criminal justice system that are broken and need to be reimagined. San Quentin News is an organization with a strong history, strong community support, and a strong bench of writers and editors. It's uniquely positioned to increase the volume and the quality of voices on conversations about criminal justice and incarceration in the United States. With your financial support, San Quentin News will be able to continue to expand its reporting and its storytelling skills. And we hope reach an even wider audience inside and outside the walls. Thank you.
Well, there again, you hear so many stories about not just the staff, not just the incarcerated men and women around the state of California, but the community that it has brought together to be a part of the Friends of San Quentin News. It really is incredible and inspiring. Now, earlier when I had said, all comments, wherever you happen to be, just share all your thoughts. Well, that also meant that I opened myself up to the corrections of the fact that I am not in San Francisco. Now, 15 years in Salinas and a little bit in Monterey and Santa Cruz, where the young lady was just talking there with the banana slugs. Go banana slugs. So I guess I butchered, which I already knew when I was trying to say them, a couple of restaurant names that are on the online auction. And so now I am going to attempt to correct those. So the one is Sushi Ron. I'm sure a fabulous place. I will look forward next time I am up there to go by and try it. Do love some good sushi. And then, gosh, I still hope I don't butcher this one, even with the phonetic spelling that was sent to me. Chez Panisse, I guess world-renowned. Everyone knows, except for Corey. So anyways, thank you to Chez Panisse. I hope I said that right, for your generosity and your gift and your giving for being a part of the Friends of San Quentin virtual event. So there, I am not above correcting myself and saying, I'm not all that smart in certain ways. So, but lots of things for me to be able to try out and to be able to broaden my horizons next time I'm up in the city. Okay, let's check out the leaderboard here and see where we are. My goodness, we are so close to that $25,000. We're at $21,220 right at the moment. Just a $10 donation. Thank you so much to Luca. Came in, just a donation to the Friends of San Quentin News. Also Sandy with the $1,000. Another anonymous donor for $250. Jesse right now had the high bid at $900 on the original art for the San Quentin News. But Amanda said, oh no, I'm not having any of that. And she went to $2,000. Just put a big old stamp on that one. We'll see if that stands. Come on, Jesse, you can do it. Also, Tommy, a donation to the San Quentin News of $25. Oh, what a year it was. The signed calendar. Caitlin has the high bid at $175. Photo of San Quentin from the water. This one had been going back and forth. Right now he's been going back and forth with himself, it looks like. Donald, thank you so much. You've brought your own donation up to $65 there. And Donald also has the high bid on the Sushi Ron gift certificate and movie tickets at $75. So you have all the way until the 31st. So coming up just a few days now, you can bid all the way up until then at noon. And that's when the bidding's going to end. Well, sort of. That's when bid wars are going to start up. I talked about this earlier and said we'd talk about it a little bit later on. Such an exciting way for the online auction to end. What happens, and again, when you've been at possibly a live event or something, you walk away, think, okay, there's only a couple of minutes left in this silent auction. You put down your high bid, you think you have it, and then realize someone at the last second outbid you. Well, that won't happen. So if you've been bidding on an item and it comes down to the last 10 minutes of the auction, if someone outbids you thinking they're going to sneak in at the last minute and outbid you and secure the win, well, it doesn't work that way. because with Bid Wars, it's going to extend that by a few minutes. It'll give you a notification that someone tried to sneak in on you, and then you can be able to outbid them, adding a few more minutes, and it'll go back and forth on whichever items are in Bid Wars until there is only one. Once there is one lone bidder and no more bids has come in those last few minutes, then that item will close down. How long will it take? Well, depends on how many bids are coming in, and I hope that's a lot of them. So thank you so much for being a part of all of this with the Friends of San Quentin News virtual gala. It has been my honor to be a part of it, and my honor to have, virtually met a lot of the incredible staff, former staff, the journalists, the photographers, the web designers, the graphic designers. There is so much talent, and to be able to celebrate that talent and celebrate the hope that you have given that talent. So thank you so very much. So keep those bids coming in. Remember, item 100, that means you can just donate. So get your friends, get your family, share the news with them about the San Quentin News, and let's get those dollars up. So we are now where are we on a final look here? So 21,400. So we are just 3,600 away from hitting that 25,000 mark. And that will then automatically become $50,000. And remember, because of the Reva and David Logan Foundation, that will continue to match all those dollars all the way up to $50,000. Well, hey, more's coming in right as I'm talking. We're up at 21,815. So it continues to grow. Please keep those coming in. Again, share with all your friends. Bless you. And thank you for being a part of the Friends of San Quentin News Virtual Gala.